Welcome to Blast of the Sash It, episode 150. It looks like Joe stepped away and get his coffee, but we went and started this rolling. This is your weekly comic review show where the only opinions matter are ours. It's the first time catching the show. What we do is pick up our books for the week. We blast them, which is a turd. We get rid of it. We stash them. It stays in our long box to enjoy forever. And today we have on the panel just Joe and myself still working on that schedule thing. But we'll get to it eventually. And we'll go ahead and jump into the books for the week. Joe will give us started, if you would, kind sir.
I will. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Let's get the first blast out of the way, and that's Batman 73. Well, I have made the claim several times that the writer of this book, King, has issues that he needs to go get checked out, right? Like I've said this, like he's writing about his personal thing, because it's very obvious. Now we know what it is. Oh, boy's got daddy issues. Apparently, daddy never took him camping. Apparently, daddy never gave him anything, because that's all this book is. It's a father-son camping trip with the hokiness of a dad singing Home on the Range, and Batman's young and he doesn't get it. And then they finally bond when he gives him his mask, and they're going to go see Ra's al Ghul for some freaking reason. It was stupid. Just absolutely poor writing. I get that he's trying to write something deep. I get that. But he's not. It comes off shallow, weak, and no real plot behind it, just things happening. That's just horrible. And if you, I don't know why King would be watching our show, but if you are, dude, go get some help. Like I can't even burn you that bad, because I think you need to sit down and talk to somebody. I know he's come out with like depression before, but depression's always a symptom. It's not a thing. It's because something else is going on. So go get that help, buddy. There's 1-800 numbers for you, but I'm glad you won't be writing this much longer. Maybe we'll get a good Batman. I think people are finally owed a good Batman story now. This definitely isn't it. It's a hard blast. As a matter of fact, it's my blast of the week because of promises of being good, and you failed on every level.
Yeah, the cover. I got cover B. I don't know who the artist is. That's another one of those dark covers. It's show it here, but that's that dark Batman cover. That's a pretty badass cover. Yeah, when Thomas says home on the range, I'm like, what in the hell is this crap?
You know, the whole concept is, I think he's trying to rebuild his family. So my question is in the coffin, which Martha is in the coffin? Is it Bruce Wayne's actual mother, or the one that turned into the Joker? You know what I mean? Because you're dealing with all.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So you kind of got this weird thing going on here. I don't know.
Because the world that Thomas Wayne's from, this Thomas Wayne, that mom turned into Joker, right?
Right.
Okay. I never thought about that. I was listening to another podcast. It's called I Fanboy. And they actually they interviewed Tom King. I guess they're friends with him there. They've been doing it for a good while. They're on episode like 670, so they've been doing that podcast for a while. And he said, so he's off Batman at issue 85, I think, because of other commitments and stuff he's got. But this whole Batman Catwoman story that he's writing after this, essentially it's going to continue on with this Batman story. Continue on where that's going. So I don't know if you're interested in picking up that, but that 12-issue miniseries or maxi series is continuation of this story, where the main Batman title is going to go off, on to a different direction. So
just go away.
So it was kind of interesting interview. Tom King sounds like, hear him talk and everything, he seems like a pretty genuine, down to earth guy. But when you read his books, it's just like, what in the hell is going on there? So,
and I'm not buying that whole. And a lot of the writers have been using this statement lately. We just want to bring awareness to mental health. I hate to tell all these writers out there, we already know it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we already know. The public knows that mental illness exists. We know that people have depression. We know you're not giving any answers, any solutions, anything that can benefit it in any way. You're just talking about it. Well, you can stop. Everybody knows.
Is it something you think that they're saying it's okay to have this?
They better not, because then that will deter people from getting the help that they need before they make bad decisions for temporary problems.
Maybe I didn't word that correctly. Maybe they're saying it's okay that other people struggle. Maybe that's what the point of trying to get across. I don't know.
Look, you're having a hard time paying it. Can you imagine what it's like trying to put it in 28 pages in a comic book? I'm not getting that from the comic book either.
especially when they're singing home on the range. I don't see where that's battling anything at all. Okay, well, we'll move on to a book that I read this week. You didn't. I didn't know the cover price on this was $5.99. If I would have known that, I would have left this turd sitting on the shelf. This is called Stitched Terror. I'm not sure if it's a continuing story from another book. This is by Avatar, and it says $5.99. It says brutal underneath it, which is true. So this is just essentially a horror story, nothing to it. I mean, it's a big, thick book. You're thinking, oh, wow, I'm actually getting a lot of comic book for $6. But there are pages toward the end of the book that are just these crappy little drawings of people getting murdered by these Stitch characters. And that's not worth the other $5.99 or what $3.99 for a book plus the other $2 or $4 for this crap. So this is the context. They have it in one little blurb at the very first page. Stitched. The Stitched are ancient undead evil. Cool. I get that. I like that. A cursed black liquid fills the mortal shells that they have all their openings sewn shut. Interesting. Okay, that's kind of weird.
Okay.
Taking their life and mummifying their body, they respond. This is the part where it freaking loses me. They respond to only one thing: the sound of rocks in a can. What the hell is that? That just seems so freaking weird to me. This sets them off on an indiscriminate killing rampage. They feel no pain. They can lose limbs, be shot, buried, crushed, all to no avail. They will not stop until the sound that drives them ceases. So, rocks in a can. Apparently, that's all it takes to drive these dudes mad.
I could get that. Have you ever heard a kid rattle something in a can? How just nerve-wracking that is. I guess I get the premise.
I guess, but that just seems so. Why rocks in a can? That just seems so weird. My daughter has these little rock magnets that she messes with. That sound drives me nuts. So maybe I could turn into a Stitch there. So the main character is about this small town sheriff who's a woman, and of course, because she's a woman and she's in a position of power, she's also a lesbian. I don't know where that. So make the
one up.
What's that?
They Mary Sue to that up, didn't they?
And I'm like, why? Why do they do that all the time? Why can't a woman in power, in position of power, be a straight woman? It seems like they always got to make them lesbian. So this is right as Mike Alley, because it has this whole good old porn page for Mike. So surprised Mike didn't pick this up. But the whole thing, they're investigating these two girls disappearing, the sheriff and her deputy. And they get caught by going in there and finding these girls knocked out in the basement. And of course, as they're in the basement, the bad guys are throwing rocks and cans down the stairs, so it's driving these Stitch people crazy. And that's how the book ends, essentially. She's surrounded in this basement with these Stitch people coming after her. They've already killed her deputy, and that's it. And dude, $6, not worth it at all. Blast it, don't pick it up. Maybe in a 50-cent bin, if you're lucky, or maybe 25-cent bin. No.
That's crazy.
What a stinker that was. Go ahead, Joe. Do you have something else?
I liked, and I expected to blast it. Like, I bought it because I thought for sure that I was going to end up blasting it. Where is it? All right, so we got into issue 2 of The Last Stop on the Red Line. And I thought this would be the issue. I made the prediction that, the first issue was good. It grabbed you. There was some kinky stuff going on in it. It wasn't very clear. I'm going to go ahead and pick up issue 2 so I can go ahead and blast this and keep it out of my box. Man, was I wrong. This is actually a good story. I'm really digging the mystery behind it. We are dealing in a world, if you remember, we weren't sure if they were in a world where like monsters exist or because they never really explained it. They don't have to. They're focusing on the mystery in this. We get a cocky white guy hanging out with the Latino detective. That's okay. I don't mind that kind of stuff. She's obviously knows more because this takes place in South Boston where things are a little bit economically depressed than other areas. How's that for politically correct? It's the ghetto. Okay. Yeah. We got people of other, we'll just say other, because there's like a vampire, there's a werewolf, and then there's the big main character there, Yosef. And Yosef is something, but he doesn't remember, and he uses alcohol and drugs to kind of suppress these feelings that he's having in these visions. Cool. Now we know why he's homeless. He's a little crazy. But he's connected to the subway murders in some way because he can see what the monster does. Apparently it's very horrific, graphic scene of somebody being torn apart in this. A little over the top, but not bad. But I'm really liking this. I'm going to give you a mystery, and I'm going to develop my characters at the same time so you understand what's going on. It's great. We get some depth of these people. We find out why some of these people are friends. It's not a bad read. I can see this on Netflix or Hulu or Amazon Prime as one of their shows, slightly low budget, but I'm kind of digging it. It's just a great array of characters, and they use that South, like I made the claim that whoever wrote this, I don't know the writer. I've never seen any of their other work, but the writers obviously lived in Boston. Because the very unique dialect that they use there when they speak, it's written out in this. And they keep making references that only people in Boston would know. Like Mr. Boston in the first issue, I had to look up who that was. Apparently it was a hobo who used to sing songs and actually got a record deal and died, right? That was his thing. Made no national mainstream news whatsoever. So they use locations and areas in here of somebody that will only be in Boston know. And I like that kind of stuff. Use what's close to you as your reference. I can dig that. And this is just, it's a good read. I'm stashing it. I think I'm going to try to finish out the series as long as it doesn't get weird. But I'm kind of hooked. I want to know what this thing is in the subway. I want more. And that's just good writing right there.
Yeah, I remember reading that first book, and I was uber confused through the whole thing. And I'm like, what in the hell's going on here? You said it's still confusing, but it clears some stuff up.
It kind of streamlined everything out for you a little better. What I think is, and I'm not an expert on comic book writing, right? But you write out a script, you write out the story, you give the feel and notion, you write it like you would any other book, and then that's got to get chopped and condensed and reformatted. And I think it just kind of caught where they tried to put too much in the first issue because they got some really cool stuff coming out. I think that's what they did with this, and that's why the first issue was probably slightly off-putting. But the second issue, you start getting used to this environment, you start understanding things, and it starts making sense. So that's pretty good. Dark Horse did it.
It's only 4 issues long, so it's a little mini series. So I remember saying I was really confused on that book, but being such a short series that I was going to pick up the rest, but I totally spaced that. Was coming out this week. I didn't put it on my pull list, so I'm going to have to go back to the store to see if I can get that.
And the weird thing about it is the production of it. Yeah, they didn't make a whole lot of issues for this. Meaning the number that could be sold throughout the United States. And I think because of the first one being slightly off-putting, I think it kind of hurt the sales for the second one. But they're going to finish out the series. So, like I said, I think this was written to be something other than a comic book because that's how it feels. And that's not unusual for writers nowadays. They don't want to stay in comic books. They want to write a television show or a movie or something along those lines. And it kind of reads like that, but probably better than most other things I'm reading.
Okay. Well, I'll definitely have to go by and pick that up. Okay, let's talk about another book that we both read. And That is Superman Year One by DC Black Label. So I don't know if you've read the news or heard the news about what DC's restructuring and what they're doing. They're getting rid of Vertigo, DC Vertigo, and they're breaking it into 3 different titles. They got Young DC, the DC for 13 plus, and the DC Black. This, I mean, this was done before that reformatting, but this is definitely not a DC Black like adult kind of comic. It's 13 plus. It deals with a lot of teenage stuff in here. Story, we pretty much know Superman's origin, but this dives a little deeper into some of the problems and stuff he had in high school, the bullies, the trying to not reveal his powers but yet be successful, like in a football game where he's trying to get that touchdown and people are piling on him, and he doesn't want to go full bore. He would just knock him off, but yet he doesn't want to give up and give in. He wants to be that kid, and he's slowly learning these powers. He's getting a relationship with Lana Lang, and yeah, but what I don't understand, I don't know if they're revamping. I watched your video earlier that said that yes, Superman was in the army, or maybe he was a portion, the army, probably propaganda during that wartime stuff. As we were talking about propaganda prior to the show today. And so I'm assuming that was propaganda then for wartime efforts as well. Mm-hmm. But he ends up going into the Navy in this book, and I'm like, the freaking Navy? Is he going to be Aquaman? Is that what he's going to do? Or the last thing I saw, he's leaving. He's on the bus headed to the naval base. He sees this jet, boom, fly off, right? And in the last page, he is sticking his arm out the window, going, "Yeah!" Doing the whole yeah. I'm like, wait a minute, is this a Superman story or is this the origin of Tom Cruise? I don't know. Because he kind of looks like a young Tom Cruise there.
Look like that. He does.
I'm like, wait a minute, what are we doing here?
Probably the same height.
Probably. This is the birth of, what's that religious organization Tom Cruise is known to be in?
Scientology.
Scientology, yes. So maybe this is the book on Scientology. John Romita Jr.'s art is hit or miss. I loved his stuff in the Punisher Warzone. That was kind of me jumping into that comics, in the early 90s. It fit there. His art is hit or miss. Frank Miller's story, I don't know what exactly he's doing. He's, revamping, maybe kind of retconning some of Superman's history, but going to the Navy seems weird. Maybe he's decided not to do the Navy, or maybe he'll get booted out in the next issue. How much was that? Is that $8 for this book?
I don't know.
Yeah, $7.99, $8. I mean, it's a big book. You get a lot of content for $8, which is good. It's not horrible. I mean, Superman's not one of my favorite characters in the world, but I'll pick up the other ones just to finish that out. So it's a stash for me. And Joe, what'd you think of Superman Year One?
I really like this book, even all the way up to the Navy thing. Not because I was Army, but taking a kid and throwing him in. He's got to get shots. How are they going to give him a shot? How are they going to? He's got to go through a physical. How's that going to work out? So,
okay, yeah, okay.
It's how does that work out for Superman? But whatever. Okay, I'm sure they'll find some catchy way to write around it. That's fine. But and that's not even why I really enjoyed this book. I really like, and a lot of people were comparing it to, that first, second season of Smallville. They were kind of like, it's kind of like that. And I have to disagree with that, not to cause any YouTube controversy, but I think they focused heavily on the virtues that small town living can instill in somebody. A lot of stoicism being thrown at you in this. Don't brag. Don't be the best guy. Just do the best you can. Hold back. That kind of philosophy based. And I like that because that's what we look for in leaders that we truly respect. I like it's not overly done in a virtue signaling way. It's very humbled. Like his beginnings were very humble. They were farmers. That's out in Kansas. I don't know if you've ever been to Kansas and seen farmers out there. it is not like farming anywhere else. These are not super rich corporate farmers. These are just family farms struggling to get by. And I think a lot of that was instilled in him. And it's just really awesome the way they wrote this. Is it a comic book, though? I guess would ultimately be the question. I'd have to say no. It's a teen drama book, right? Really, at the end of the day, it's really what you're looking at. And that's fine. I do want to see more of this. I think it's going to be interesting. I think we're going to get a different take on Superman to kind of reboot him, maybe modern him up a little bit, maybe make him a little jaded as an adult. That would be cool. Growing up happy, young, doing the right thing, and then all of a sudden nobody cares, nobody likes you because you're good. Oh, that would be, but I digress. I speculate. But yeah, I like this. It was a teenager. It reminded us that Superman's not this omniscient being that can just defeat. The only thing that beats Superman worse than kryptonite is his own conscience of what he should and shouldn't do. And it's kind of cool to see where those baseline values come from. And it is Kansas bringing up in a small town. So yeah, I like that. That's way too deep for a book, but I'm eating it up and I like it. So it's a stash for me.
Yeah, so I don't know I don't know a whole lot about Superman's history. I don't know if Lana Lang was actually a friend of his growing up, or was she a woman later on when he went to the newspaper. But I mean, he revealed his powers relatively early on with that, and it's like, man, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know that little goth kid who tried to stab him in the hand realized he had unbreakable skin, and he thought, no, it's a little too weird. I'm not going to hang out with you anymore. And he seemed like his little group of friends were kind of those outsiders. They weren't part of that core group. You had the chubby kid, you had the goth kid, you had all those kids that were not really socially accepted by the main school, and he kind of fit in with that group versus, the popular kids. But I think he always kind of wanted to be a popular kid to some degree.
Yeah, but the truth is he didn't have to hang out with those kids. He chose to do that because it's probably easier to hide in that group.
No.
When you hang out with testosterone-driven young men that are in competition all the time, we saw this in the football game.
Yeah.
He pushed a little farther when he didn't have to.
Yeah.
And and then when he also had to fight, when he tried to be slick and fast about it. He saw something bad happening. Lana Lane was about to be impregnated.
Wow. Okay.
And he took care of business, but still he kept it humble and unnoticeable. I like that. I don't know why. It's interesting.
We'll see, because I know the DC Black Label for Batman's 3 issues. I think the last issue comes out next week, if I remember correctly. So I wonder if this is going to be a 3-issue thing too, or what they're doing with this whole Black Label. Because, I mean, they announced this stuff, almost a year ago, it seemed like. But they haven't done the Wonder Woman yet. They haven't done all the other supposed Black Labels. And I heard they were canceled, but now I see Superman coming out. So I don't know what's going on with that DC Black Label.
I think DC's kind of doing a lot of restructuring right now.
Yeah.
They're not trying to do the same thing Marvel's decided to pump things out. Sales are low, keep pumping stuff out. I think DC's trying to be a little bit more strategic in their planning.
Yeah.
It's a smart way to go, but they have some of the oldest characters out there right now. Yeah. And so how do we modernize that for a new group of people that would rather binge watch a television show than read a comic book?
Well, the medium's definitely changing, that's for sure. Okay. Moving on to the next book here. Let's talk about this one. Savage Sword of Conan number 6. Meredith Finch, Luke Ross, and this is just a one and done story here. So Conan, he's in a bar, he's drinking, he meets the guy, said, "Hey, let me buy you a drink," and the guy buys him a drink. Ends up essentially putting a little date rape medicine in there, knocking him out, and shanghaiing him, essentially throwing him on a ship because Conan had killed his uncle. So he thinks he can get back at Conan by throwing him on this ship. He ends up doing it, and Conan is constantly being fed this concoction to keep him kind of unconscious as he's going through. He ends up faking it toward the end, saying, "Hey, if I don't lay still, if I don't show that I'm still kind of out of it, they are going to give me more of that stuff, and I don't want it." So essentially, they put him into a gladiator ring, expected to get killed, and as they're throwing everybody out there, there's a princess that's up there. It's supposed to pick not necessarily of the gladiators, the guys fighting the gladiators. She's supposed to pick the top guy from that to marry. And Conan dispatches of all of these guys, and she's like, I want to marry him. And the king's like, no, you can't marry him. He's one of the he's one of the slaves. You need to pick a gladiator. But unfortunately, Conan had killed all the gladiators. And so he goes up to the princess, ends up stealing a necklace, and she's like, hey, you can't do that. And he takes off. And at the very last scene, the guy who had him shanghaied is sitting in the bar, and he's like, revenge is best served. And that's when he gets cut off. The necklace flies across the table, and here's Conan coming at him with the sword, coming to get revenge for shanghaiing him. So it was a one and done story, nothing that connects to anything else. Just a brutal, another comic book showing how Conan is just a badass, and nobody's going to stop him. It was a good read. Would I read it again? Would I pick up for $3.99? I don't know. Maybe. But it was a good read. I enjoyed it. And I'll still continue to pick up Savage Sword of Conan. So it was a stash for me this week.
Good deal.
We'll go to Joe.
Let's see here. Hey, you guys talk about AIDS? Let's talk about AIDS.
Okay.
What Beastman created in this book right here.
Oh, wow.
So, X-Men 20. This is so freaking ridiculous. And I think this is done by accident. That's the scary part. All right, so if you're not up to speed on what's going on in the X-Men universe, they made a serum that can take powers away. We've heard this trope 1,000 times. And of course, the X-Men got a problem with it because, they need to protect everybody, or words and feels. Doesn't really matter. So now they got to combat it. So they get creepy beast guy with the spider legs, the evil beast, I guess is the way to put it, to make a serum to counteract it. And his description of how it counteracts against it, it's AIDS. That's his answer. Give everybody AIDS. Anyway, so Banshee's got to sail off because, actually, it's super AIDS. We'll call it super AIDS.
They don't refer to it as AIDS, though, in the book. You're just saying how it acts with the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the exact description. I'm calling it AIDS. I'm calling
it
AIDS. So what does Beastman do to make this even scarier? He makes it an airborne virus, gives it to Banshee, and Banshee flies around strategically places and spreads his super mutant AIDS to everybody. And apparently what ends up happening is like 6 kids out of everybody ends up going into a coma, and they thought that was the evil plan, that some people would have a reaction to it. Okay, I'll go with that. Need to bump up the numbers a little bit. Those are some rookie numbers, but hey, okay. And then we find out that Mystique has been going around transforming into Steve Rogers, and a bunch of mind games have been played. The hocus pocus. I'm taking a shortcut in writing. Stuff starts happening. So yeah, X-Men Super AIDS. This is a blast. It's so confusing. It's just. I don't get what you're trying to say in this. And why they brought Emma Frost back. I was never a fan of Emma Frost. I'm sorry. Whenever she's written into any kind of continuity, it's always this, I don't know, vagueness about her, I guess is the best way to put it. And what she can do is always explained after everything's done. And that's just lazy story, right? I don't have any other ideas. Oh, Emma Frost did it with her mind.
She's done the same thing. What in Old Man Logan? Wasn't she the one that altered Logan's mind?
It's yeah.
You're talking about a beast making that serum airborne. That's really, if you read X-Men versus Inhumans, which came out, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it was kind of the same thing. The Inhumans were doing a Terrigen mist, and the X-Men were fighting to keep it from getting to the populace. They're doing it here, essentially. Okay, that's a little weird, but
it's a fake story.
We'll go. Were the Inhumans there to try to stop them? Try to push the
no Inhumans in this one. We got a bunch of characters that nobody cares about, and they're always got something to say. Why? I don't know.
Man. Okay.
Because when this first popped off, when they brought Cyclops back, it was almost like a promise to the reader that we're going to bring back a good X-Men story. And for the first few issues, it was great. You got them fighting, you got a cool history going on, blam. And then on 20, mutant AIDS.
Remember, they haven't done a book. Well, maybe they have. Maybe I'm just not aware of it. You know, back in the 80s and 90s, they always had those awareness books. They had like an AIDS awareness. They had the hunger in Africa awareness books.
Yeah.
I've seen maybe some child trafficking kind of awareness books. I don't know. Can't think of anything more modern that they've done with trying to make something aware to the public. Other than maybe the mental illness stuff we talked about earlier.
I don't know. It seems like every writer has something that they want to preach at me instead of just telling me a good story. No offense. We have social media. We have YouTube. We have all this other stuff. You don't need to promote some cause that you're passionate about this week to me. Just write me and tell me a good freaking story already.
I want the bad guys trying to take over something. I want the good guys going to stop them, but no political message or social message behind that. Actually, to some degree. I mean, comics, I guess, not all of them have been some kind of social message. But I guess if you look back even to the earlier, like, Golden Age stuff with Superman and Batman, they're always trying to fight Nazis, trying to fight,
I get that. And if you want to fight Nazis today, that's fine. That's an enemy. That's an enemy we can all hang our hats around. But just calling somebody a Nazi and sending superheroes after them or something along those lines, I don't know. It just seems like, if I take a look at the things that I've read and the things that I like and I don't like, I start noticing a lot of comparisons, a lot of similarities between them. Like, I didn't like this story. And they weren't making you aware of AIDS in this one. It was just a bad story.
Yeah.
A lot of this other stuff, like Guardians of the Galaxy. This was a good story. I liked that. I didn't learn anything from it because comic books are escapism. You do it to enjoy. But we're going off the right.
Yes. So you talked about Guardians of the Galaxy. Let's go ahead and talk about that. So that is the end of this story arc. Last we knew, Hela was trying to upload. So Thanos was in Eros' body, trying to upload his mind and thoughts up into the newly rebuilt Thanos. And Guardians of the Galaxy said, "Hey, dude, I don't care who you are. We're all Guardians. We're all trying to stop this. We know who Thanos is now. It's not Gamora. We need to go kill the real Thanos." So they decide they're going to fight all together and to go kill Thanos. And they talk about the black hole gun that Hela has. Is it Hela? Or is it somebody else has that? Okay, yeah. No, she has that. So they're all fighting against Black Order and Hela, stuff like that. One thing that was cool was Star-Lord says, Frank Castle's mine, ends up blasting him, and essentially he just falls to bones, and he's in hell now with Johnny Blaze, which is kind of cool. He says, "Want a race?" So find out more in Avengers 22. I'm kind of interested in that. I want to see Frank Castle and Johnny Blaze, Cosmic Ghost Rider now. Kind of see what they're going to do together. So they're in the process of uploading Thanos into the new Thanos, and Gamora interrupts that by stabbing her uncle through the chest, even though Star-Lord's saying, "Hey, don't do that. Don't be that person. We don't want you to do that." And kind of turned into maybe like a zombie Thanos, essentially, because it's like, not making full sentences, not making like big words. Thanos, whatever. Hela tried to blast him with that black hole creator, and it gets diverted into wiping out Thanos. And as it moves forward, toward the end of this story, we have Star-Lord saying, "Hey, we're the new Guardians now," and everybody's like, "No, I got stuff I got to do. I have commitment here. I'm headed there. No, I'm not leaving." And so it still leaves them with a new team, essentially. We have Gamora, we have Moondragon, Groot, what's that dog's name?
Beta Ray Bill, Lockjaw.
Beta Ray Bill and Lockjaw. Yep, essentially that's the team now moving forward. But it was good. I mean, it's a pretty good story. Like I said, it's not screaming anything political out. Yeah, it's just, hey, good versus evil. They're gonna fight. It's good stuff. I definitely enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy.
Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this too. I thought this was great. I love Moondragon and her main squeeze hanging out in this story. I always thought those were interesting characters that don't get enough playtime in comic books, especially with them together. That makes sense. I'm cool with that. Um, Everything about this was just great, classic sci-fi comic book storytelling. You know, how do we make people disappear? A black hole gun. What the hell does that even mean? I don't care. It was big, it was powerful, and it worked. Right?
Yeah.
um, and I think there's a little bit of a tie-in with this and the Silver Surfer because we still don't know in Silver Surfer Black how that black hole was originally created. I think we kind of got a peek of that in this. Maybe they were around that area at the time. That book's being as vague as it could possibly be. But yeah, I'm totally digging this. I love this Cosmic Ghost Rider and Ghost Rider meeting up in hell, how that's going to play out, what's going to happen there. They're going to fight each other. That would make sense. I don't think they're actually going to race because Frank Castle doesn't race. He kills people. That's what he does.
Yeah.
So how does that play out? I thought it was a very satisfying conclusion. I'm glad that they just didn't bring back Thanos in this issue, just to randomly bring him back. He'll be back. I think we can all safely say that that's going to happen at some point. Or something Thanos-ish will come back because that's just too much of a character to just make go away forever. But yeah, I really like this. And they're all going to go find out where Rocket is. And if you've been reading the back of the comic book, you've been getting that bloody paw print. Looks like they're going to off Rocket the Raccoon, which is sad because he's one of my favorite characters. I like sarcasm in my reading. But here's to you, Rocket.
So I'm thinking this still ties into the Doctor Strange Damnation book that came out last year. Because Mephisto was in Las Vegas, all that stuff. Didn't Johnny Blaze take over Hell when Mephisto was out of there?
I'm not sure. I don't read a whole lot of Doctor Strange. It's not really my thing.
This was a miniseries. I think that came out, I want to say it was last year. It's on like 6 issues, maybe. Mephisto left Hell, and I think Johnny Blaze took over the throne of Hell. I think that's how. So that's if I remember it correctly, that's kind of cool if that connects clear back there. It kind of still shows there's some continuity across multiple books, in this. I mean, although, like I said before, continuity. They say, well, Batman didn't do that. Well, that's a different story of Batman. I can read Detective Comics. I can read Batman thinking, oh, totally 2 different stories. They don't have to be connected for me to enjoy a Batman book. Some people are really on that. Like, oh, my God, they've got to be connected. I've got to know what's going on. But I'm good. I can read it and go, Batman didn't lose a finger or whatever. I don't care. You want to go and give us another book there, Joe?
I basically did that one. Why don't you go ahead?
Oh, I started that one. Okay. Let's talk Militia by Black Box Comics. I'm not sure if you picked up that one. Didn't see it on your list.
Yeah.
So basically, it's by Chuck Dixon, which I was kind of like, okay, I like Chuck Dixon. Kind of some of the same political views I got, if we read into Chuck Dixon. So this is about West Africa, where this militia essentially is taking all the girls from this village. There are 40 girls they end up taking. The U.S. ends up sending a military group in there to go to retrieve the girls. When they go in there, they've only recovered, I think it was 32 of the 40. And so they're saying that's not good enough. We need to get all the girls. We need to make sure all. And there's this one girl, she flies a drone, but she wants military action. She wants to get in there, but she keeps getting told no, she can't go. And now they kind of figure, oh, this needs a woman touch because these girls are scared. They're not wanting to come out because there are guys with guns, even though it may be American versus a militia. They still don't want to come out because they're scared of what's going to happen to them. The main character, she's just a typical blonde, and she's like, she said, hey, I need to call my brother, so they're video Skyping, and here she is sitting in a little skimpy a skimpy top and short shorts. I'm like, you don't video Skype your brother wearing that, laying on the bed like that. That's a little weird. Yeah, I'm like, huh? That's and we find out her brother's in the army or was in the army. He's a double amputee, lost both his legs from something. I don't think they explain how he lost them somehow in the service. But I don't know. I wasn't super impressed with this. Didn't really grab me much. As she's going into the battle, as she's on the chopper getting ready to hit it, and the guy like, hey, this may get hot. This may, and she's like, I'm kind of hoping it will be, because she wants that action, because she's been left out of the service and not being able to do what she really, really wants to do. So, military aspects to it. Here she is crashing down on the on the bed there in her little skimpy clothes as well. I don't know why we need to see that. Again, if she's a badass, we don't need to see that she's wearing skimpy clothes. At least I don't need to see that.
If I had abs like that, I'd be showing them off right here on the show.
Well, I'm glad you don't. So, yeah, as they're flying over the jungle, she said again too that she hopes there's going to be some action, and a whole bunch of militia sitting down in the jungle looking up at the choppers as they're going by. One as an RPG, I guess, getting ready to blast them out of the sky. I don't know. It didn't really grab me much, so I don't think I'd be picking up issue 2. Chuck Dixon's known for the Batman breaking a Batman back. I think he was part of that story arc of Batman.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
So I know we did the Bane Conquest miniseries recently as well. But that is Militia #1 by Black Box Comics. Independent. There's one that I didn't have on my pull list. My store just happened to have on the shelf. I'm like, okay, it's a #1. I'll grab it. Chuck Dixon, why not? I'll give it a shot.
I want to talk about. I want to blast something. Let's blast something stupid. I don't know how many of our viewers, maybe right there in the chat, maybe you want to admit this. How many of you read comic books in the 90s and you read that horrible, horrible comic book, Psylords? Yeah, that's when it first came out. It was garbage then. As a matter of fact, that's on the tail end of when I stopped reading comic books like that, because I kind of got it. Shiny covers, ridiculous powers, stupid monologues in it. Everything was just horrible. Well, lessons learned. We brought it back. Why did we bring it back? Because words and feelings. Who gives a shit? Right? Here's the bad thing about this. This book is stupid. I know I'm not supposed to say that in the first issue, right? In the first issue, you're supposed to say, well, they're just setting up, the environment, and blah, blah, blah. Well, they kind of went beyond that. They get superpowers through laser beam in the head, whatever. And they immediately master all their superpowers like that. That's not good storytelling. That's lazy writing, right? That's come on. We all got to agree on that. They just automatically know what to do because they're God or whatever you want to say. It's absolutely ridiculous. Also, who the hell says this in a comic book? This is an actual quote from the comic book. She's about to come out and she's punching some people. This is what she says. Free surgery. Painkillers optional. The hell does that mean? I have to watch my mouth. What does that mean? If they said, "Oh, wait a second, I want some painkillers," what would you have done? Like, I hate you. It's just so bad, and that's not even the worst line in this. And then they kind of sort of explain what their powers are, right? Why is the fat guy willpower? What really?
The fat guy is willpower.
Yeah,
He had the willpower over the cake.
Really? You should have stopped cramming donuts in the old gullet there, chubby. Right? And then what's even worse is, right, this is obviously kind of geared to a much different audience than me reading it. We'll put it that way. So if so, why has this lady got a condom laying on her chest? What is that about? Can you see that?
It's very blurry. Oh, I see the reservoir tip.
What the hell? Is that supposed to be provocative? Like, I don't know. So basically, what do we got here? We basically got Green Lantern, but just with weirder people. But That's how I kind of took it. Just weirdos. I don't get it. And the one guy's supposed to be Russian. He didn't write none of his dialogue read like anything a Russian person would say. He's like a perfect speaking Russian guy. So why do we need to know he's a Russian soldier? Like, just bad, 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 so bad. Just if you pick this up, I apologize. If you didn't pick it up and you really want to know what's in this book, wait till it's in a 25-cent bin. It will happen quickly. I promise you that. Because this is garbage.
I don't think I pick up anything Valiant. I never do, even if it's number one. Usually I kind of avoid it because I've just been consistently let down by Valiant titles. And one, too, they are, a lot of them are rehashes from the stuff from the 90s when Valiant kind of came out and was kind of, I think it was pretty popular in the 90s. It kind of just petered off pretty quick. But, yeah, I just can't get into anything that's Valiant. So
yeah, I don't know. It's like they're not even trying anymore. It's just like, hey, I got an idea. Let's throw some superheroes together. Make one of them fat, right?
Because
so,
they have to for diversity reasons,
right? And then let's make sure they're very, very different, right? And beliefs and everything else. But for some magical reason, they can all high five each other and give out free surgeries, painkillers optional. That's some bullshit talk. I'm sorry.
That sounds like a line from a Schwarzenegger movie to me, doesn't it?
So bad.
Okay. No, you're going to still pick up Valiant titles?
I'll read just about anything. Like, legitimately, I'll read bad stuff. I'll read good stuff. I read everything across the board. I'm a vivacious reader. Love reading. But after I read that, like, I seriously had to take a break. Like, it hurt my brain.
Okay, my next book. It was just a random pickup. Most of the time, I don't pick up Hellboy. I enjoy the Ron Perlman Hellboy movies, but never have been a huge Hellboy fan for the comics. Never been a fan of Mike Mignolia's art at all. He seemed like none of his characters have any shoulders. They're just sloped straightly down from the neck. So that's something that always kind of threw me off from Mignolia's art. But this is written by Mignolia, but it is art by Duncan Fegredo. Of course you would. Core colors is by Dave Stewart, so why can't you do that? So this story here, just another Hellboy story. This is Hellboy and the BPRD. Hellboy's investigating something in Romania in 1962, where there's this monster coming back and eating people, and so he's there to investigate, and he's getting information from the BPRD, telling more about what's going on, who the creature is, and essentially it's like a big griffin, big lion or tiger with wings and a tail, and ends up kicking the crap out of Hellboy, and to where the point where he throws him down the mountain, he lands, busts his head open, he's bleeding everywhere. He's found by a gypsy and her daughter, and they end up treating him up, and he wakes up, but she wants, this gypsy wants some of his blood before they end up treating him. He wakes up to a puppet show going on in this gypsy's wagon. He's sitting there watching it, and they kind of give him the backstory of this griffin, of who this monster is. And then the whole backstory during the puppets shows Hellboy essentially killing this big griffin monster. And Hellboy, that's not how it ended. It ended with me getting my ass kicked and thrown down a mountain. And she's like, no, it didn't. It ended this way. And he actually goes back up and investigates where he first fought that griffin. And sure enough, the griffin is dead in the bottom of this pit. And that's how it ends there with that story. And then it goes into a little story with another puppet show with this gypsy and her daughter. And I think it's a one and done. This is the Beast of Vargue, whatever, Vargu. The cover is what drew me in on this book. I absolutely love this cover for some reason. Maybe it was just the red border across the top that kind of made that pop, but it really just grabbed me. And then having a black and white background and them colored in the foreground. But it wasn't too bad of a story. A quick paced story, a lot of action. I do like the connection with older monster stories and stories are passed down from generation to generation, talking about this beast that lives here, and the BPRD is the one that's kind of investigating it. I love having that kind of connection. So that was good. I actually enjoyed that. That was a stash for me.
Good deal. Let's talk. Oh, let's go ahead and talk about this because I think you got this one too. No Ones.
Yep, I got that one.
All right. So yeah, No Ones is kind of cool, and I want to be sure I'm on the right one. Okay, so basically, superhero or No Ones is a group of superhero teams, if you will, that have kind of monetized themselves. I think is the best way to put it. They're branded themselves. I'm going to go. This is going along the same lines as The Boys. Right? They monetize themselves. They're popular. They're making money because they are who they are. They're fighting crime. Sometimes some shady stuff, like an innocent person may die, and they kind of whitewash that a little bit, to make it sound like it was just in the battle. They actually, the other did it. We'll put it that way. And then what happens when you wipe them from continuity? But they're still in place, and nobody knows who they are, and yada, kind of like hitting the reset button, right? Why did that happen? We don't know, right? Because it's just the first issue. We just find out how shallow some of these people are, and they have problems like everybody else does. Like one smokes, and apparently he's not allowed to smoke when people are around because the cameras and their live feeds from the house. So he's got like one area he can smoke in. The couple, the leader of the bar, I think the bar and his wife obviously do not want to be married anymore, but they have to keep up appearances, kind of the stress of fame kind of pushed down on them. Plus they got to do superhero stuff. Well, all that gets wiped clean and they're back in their environment and nobody knows who they are. And they're not kind of like, they don't know how to take this. So that's where they kind of left us off right there. We don't know why this happened, but I'm liking it because it gives a very cynical look on organizations or a group of people that have other intentions rather than noble ones, right? I think that's what the writer's kind of hinting at here. At least I hope so, because that would definitely be interesting. But definitely this is a satirical look at superheroes in a whole, and what happens when they become famous, and how do we take them down a peg. I like that. That's good stuff. So, yeah, I'm liking this. I'm definitely going to be picking up issue 2 on this. Where does it go after this? Will this be a famous book worth a lot of money? No, it will get washed over with The Boys coming on Amazon. But I think it's a good read, and I recommend it. I'm definitely stashing it. And it almost made my pick of the week. It almost did. It was right there. It's my second pick of the week. We'll put it that way for independent titles.
Yeah, it shows at the beginning of the book where they're this little dude dealing action figures, and it's all the Bastions. I think that's what the group of people are called. And guys like wanting a whole lot of money for them, and that's how they find out that they got kind of erased, because later on toward the end of the book they're going back to him. Hey, do you have those action? No, who are those guys? I don't know who those guys are. We have this guy. It does. I think, let alone like the superhero thing, it's the constant social media aspect I think we have in today's life, where they have these big channels. If they divulge their political affiliation, if they divulge they do this or that, they lose half their followers because it doesn't agree with half the people other side. So yeah, I like that aspect too. Like I said, you got to be a good role model, so the kids can't see him smoking, so he's got to go somewhere here. They've got to show a wholesome family environment, so the wife and the husband got to show on screen that they love each other, but in real life they're just almost at that breaking point. So that's kind of a cool thing. If you watch YouTube, watch all those people on there, we don't know, you think they're a great couple. There was a husband and wife team that did a whole bunch of comedy skits. Oh, what a great relationship they have. And then they got divorced. So it's all not this sugar-coated stuff that we see online. Everybody has real world problems regardless of what you display on YouTube or social media. So I think it kind of brings that cool real world environment to it. And that's what I dig about that book a lot. So yeah, it's definitely a stash for me too.
just to make sure that we don't fall under that in our channel, I smoke bad stuff all the time.
I'm a funny daddy who doesn't drink or anything, so the no ones. Okay, that's off there. Okay, why don't you give us another one that I didn't read?
Okay, let's pick. Let's go ahead and talk about this one because I'm kind of I don't know where to go with this. This is that Crucified that just recently came out. Um, how did this is an interesting book. This is one of those ones where I'm not sure if I like it or if I just absolutely hate it. I'm going to need another issue. So good job, writer. Basically, what's happening is in California, they have this big race riot, but it's not the race riots that you would think. It's mostly against the African Americans and Hispanic people there. And of course, white people are just watching over it because white people are evil. Whatever, that's fine. I'm cool with being white people being evil. And for some reason, magically, apparently, there's a group of white people that are profiting off of this riot. Now, I no, people don't. When domestic things happen, sales of anything pretty much shoot down. Real estate, everything, but whatever. This person obviously has some political views, but that's not how it really works. So to get past that little political part of it, to actually talk about the book, there's this individual. Apparently, he is something more than human. They don't exactly explain it. They're calling him the Christ, but these are other people saying it. He never says it himself. The mayor wants to put an end to all this. He gives this guy a call. The guy comes up to a mic and televised thing, and he says one word. He says enough, and apparently everybody stops the riots and everything. So obviously he has some sort of spiritual control of some sort. And the bad people in this one don't like this because now they're going to lose money because of this fictitious problem that's going on. So they want to assassinate him. So why do I hate and like this story at the same time? One, I don't like the assumption that because bad things happen between people that somebody's automatically profiting. It's not how profits work. The profits are based. We live in a capitalistic society. We need people to get along and buy things. That's how we work, right? That's how profits go up, not separating people and getting them distracted. Whatever. That's why I'm kind of leaning towards I don't know if I like this book. The reason why I do like it is I think we have, other than this Christ-like character, all the other characters in it are very well developed, and I really like them. Like the assassin that's going to go do it. Like he has this really cool monologue about what death is. He's one of those bad guys you can't really call him a bad guy. He knows he's going to kill this guy. He explains to this guy he's going to kill him. You know, and he's like, I don't know what your afterlife's like, but if you need to take a minute and pray, go ahead. But let me be very clear on this, and I'm going to kill you like this. So, you know, take a second and, you know, do what you got to do. You know, and I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of sadistic, but I get it. And he kind of explains what he thinks death is and everything like that. So I found that to be interesting. I'm really digging the villains in this one. We don't know much about the superhero in this other than he's a mix of something. We know he's African American and something else. We know that from his eyes. We know he's a Christ-like figure. We know he runs like, I don't want to say a religion, but he's a preacher of some sort, a messenger to the people, whatever that may be. And he's popular for it, and a lot of people listen to him. So we got an obvious good guy in this. So we have an unusual archetype here that I don't know. I don't know if I'm talking about it because I'm still trying to figure it out. I walked away with this like, what? Why am I enthralled in reading it, right? But kind of hesitant to other pages. So the writer did what writers should do. It's very thought provoking. I thought it was interesting. I just don't know where it's going to go. And I'll pick up issue 2. And if it keeps being vague like this, it will definitely be a stash. But right now, I'm going to go ahead and stash it. Call it a soft stash. When it starts getting a all white people are evil message across, then that's when I'll pretty much stop reading it because that's not accurate.
Yeah, you're evil, Joe. We know it.
I am. I have no problems with being a villain. That's okay.
My next book, it's one I've been picking up since the beginning, Teen Titans. This is issue 31. So we finally get Lobo in there interacting with the Teen Titans. at the beginning of the book, Lobo is in this little store buying jalapeno pork rind, I think it is, and strawberry milk. But they're out of strawberry milk, so it kind of irritates him. But the main guy, the guy that's running that store, is actually on Lobo's hit list to get, because Lobo's a bounty hunter. So he ended up taking him. I think he ends up killing him, as a matter of fact. And he gets another call coming in saying, "Hey, we may have found your daughter." "I don't have any daughter. I've killed all my kids." "Oh, we just upped your bounty fee to this." And he's like, "Oh, I'm on my way." So he ends up going to Earth to find the Teen Titans, and he literally kicks the living crap out of him in this issue. He's trying to kill Crush. He does realize that, he has her by the throat, and he sniffs and he says, "Yes, you are my daughter, but how much of you is me? Let's check how indestructible you are by dropping a train on her, or a subway car." And so that's how this issue ends. The only reason she gets saved toward the end is because Kid Flash comes through, grabs her, takes her off. But Lobo is easily dispatching Teen Titans. It's a pretty good issue. I'll stash it, and I'll be continue to pick up Teen Titans. As long as Glass has been the writer on it. It's been pretty good.
Good to hear. I kind of regret not picking that up, and I don't want to pick it up in the middle of the issues. Yeah. Is it my turn? It's my turn.
Yep.
Okay, we do. Talk about Middlewest. I don't think we can say enough about Middlewest. This was kind of a filler issue. We didn't really get a whole lot of information in this. We did get some cool stuff going on, though. We find out that Dad's not like your typical abusive father. He's really a vagina, right? He's kind of got backs down when people of equal size or strength. Dad has no problems with kicking ass and getting into fights. He gets into a bar fight in this issue and does some damage, and then does his hocus pocus, I'm a hurricane thing to make the whole thing disappear, right? And then we get some clever rhetoric between the boy Abel. Is that his name?
Yeah.
Abel and his companion Fox that we don't know the name of yet, but we do know from Scotty Young that the Fox is an important character, and we need to be focused on it. We found that out at C2E2 when we talked to him. I think Cat Ram asked him that question. So we find out that, and then we also find out in the Never-Ending Forest thing that there's these, I don't know, mutated squirrels, I guess is the best way to describe them. And then some Aboriginal type people kind of save him, right? Because mutated squirrels want to attack him. Aboriginals stop it, and that's where we're left now. So we know that there's other things in this world that are more primitive. That's pretty cool. But that's about it that happened in this issue. We don't get too deep with it. Again, this was just a filler issue. Every now and then you just kind of need something to kind of keep the issues going out. I think that's all this really was at the end of the day. But I don't know. I still like it. I still get this labyrinth feel whenever I read this, especially with the mutated squirrels. It kind of reminded me from the labyrinth, the things that can take their heads off and throw them around. The Fuzz Gang, is what they called themselves. I kind of got that feeling in it. This thing would be great as a short movie with Jim Henson puppets. It would just be awesome. Right? I'm 42 years old, and I'm talking about this being made into a puppet movie. And that's what it brings out in you. It's just great. And I love the artwork in this. It's a lot of recognizable stuff with little nuancy differences to it. Like they love using the things that power things with the capsules with the mysterious liquid in it. People holding different various things, so, but a lot of it's recognizable at the same time. So I'm liking that. I thought this entire series has just been a home run. Even their filler issue was still entertaining. So yeah, this is how you create a world. This is how you write a story, and you keep people hooked into it. Good job, Scotty, my man.
Yeah, they start the issue off with the circus people, and they're trying to rebuild and everything. That was Maggie still so pissed off at Abel for causing all destruction in the circus and destroying everything. But everybody from the circus is in support of Abel, saying, "Hey, he's just a kid. Yes, he did this, but we're supposed to be supporting. We can't just get rid of him." But Maggie is definitely on the other side of that, saying that nope, he's no good for us. What I don't get is we keep flip flopping back and forth on his dad, Abel's dad. We thought, oh god, this guy's a total prick, which he kind of was in the first few issues, about the whole bicycle thing, and then we like kind of go into Abel's mind. Although there were times when Dad was happy, maybe Mom was the one that was kind of doing it, and now we're kind of back on the page with Dad being a total jerk again. So flip flopping back and forth on. I mean, maybe he's just worried that his son's out there all by himself, has his power, and has no way to control it yet. And maybe that's what he's trying to help him get under control. But I mean, yeah, he comes to drink, and they talk about, hey, well, maybe we know why your son left, and that's what kind of pissed him off. Set him off in that that bar, into that bar brawl.
I thought that was interesting because he's like, the guy's trying to explain, or the dad's trying to explain how he raised his son, and obviously somebody disagreed with it. Have goals. And it sounded good, like it read okay, but it did read like training a dog. And when that was mentioned to him, he just wasn't hearing a whole lot of it.
Yeah,
he just tore the place down. It's interesting. I want to believe that Dad is just a jerk. I want to believe it. Like he's just a bitter, angry jerk whose wife left him, and he's just a douchebag, right? But I don't know, because I think they were using this whole hurricane as a metaphor for passion. I don't want to get too deep on that. It will get weird. But, sometimes you can be passionate about something, and when things go against it, it can anger you, right?
Yeah.
So maybe that's the kind of spin to. I don't know. It's too early to tell what this is and why it happens. Obviously, the old wizard knows why, but he ain't giving up the ghost on it. So
no, not yet.
But then again, I think that's what's keeping us intrigued with this story. I really do.
I did like the connection, or at least I saw it. Once the dad gets his ass kicked in the bar, and so the old guy that's there says, hey, it's you the one who needs lessons and action, the consequences. And the next panel, the dad's kind of, his head's flipped around, he's turned into that hurricane, right? And if we go a couple pages later, when the fox is talking to Abel, almost the same look on Abel's face when he rips around, he's pissed off at the fox. That was kind of cool. It's showing that he's starting to lose control and not be able to do the same thing. And the same thing with destroying everybody. So it's interesting. All the squirrels are who's in our woods. They're all of them repeating it, and it's all going off. Definitely. We talked about it before, Jim Henson hits it on the head, because Labyrinth hits it on the head, because that's how this whole thing. She's going to different areas, meeting new people, thinking that, oh, these are the bad guys. Nope, these guys are here to help. So who knows what's going on? This has definitely been still a good book. I've criticized a little bit here and there where it kind of slows down. It's like, okay, now it's just like new people again, not setting up a story, but still, it's been consistently good though, for sure. We are just at an hour, so let's go to our lightning round.
Yay!
Start with you, Joe.
All right, let's talk about some good stuff. Hey, apparently Coach still doesn't know how to write Captain America. Apparently he thinks that Captain America is a sidekick that doesn't deserve a whole lot of time and a lot of obvious explanation to how to bust somebody out of jail. As long as 5 women are doing it, it's garbage. But I'll keep picking it up. Why? Because it's Captain America and I'm a sucker. Next, let's go ahead and do all 3 of the rollouts for War of the Realms. We got War Scrolls, good. Well, the first 2 stories were good. The one about She-Hulk not wanting to explain to Odin's wife about why, or they're dating Thor, and garbage. Next, Spider-Man League. We finally separate the dark elf that was encased in this armor right here, and we find out that wasn't interesting at all. The next, Deadpool. Deadpool, a lot of witty banter, but again, just a reason to keep buying things that say War of the Realms on them. I did like the Tasmanian Daredevil and Daredevil fighting in this one, saying, maybe we should just keep our distance and let our lawyers do the talking because of copyright infringement. That was great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it makes fun of its own medium, and that's the purpose of Deadpool. Going on to DC, I have been actually enjoying this new Justice League. This is number 26, is the variant cover for it. Justice League, the top three, they go into the multiverse where they apparently have their own little honeycomb hideout. And all the other superheroes from the multiverse that are some form of Justice League or whatever, they're all there and they're making the claim for, we all need to come together because Lex Luthor is coming back even stronger. This is happening. Perpetua is going to be destroying the world. We need to find the monitors, yada, yada, yada. I'm liking it. It's good stuff. We get a cameo from Captain Carrot in it. I loved that when I was a kid. So, yeah, we get some witty banter between the Green Lantern and the Flash in it as well about how weird the multiverse is. Farmhand, we finally got some action in here and some things explained. Jebediah may not be the one who actually controls the plants and the seeds to give people. It's probably, dun, 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 the mayor. The lady that's a gardener, figure that one out. That shouldn't be too much of a surprise, but this is slowly turning into a pretty scary story, actually. Good stuff. Definitely want to pick that Farmhand up. It's a good read. Next, Assassination. If you don't know what this reads like a Guy Ritchie movie. If you don't know who Guy Ritchie is, he directed and wrote Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, movies along those themes. This reads just like one of those. He definitely needs to pick this up and make a movie out of it. But we're down to the assassins, 3 assassins now out of all of them. And last but not least, Faithless. Hey, if you like pornography, there you go. This thing is, I don't know. I thought maybe there would be a story hidden in here, and it turns out it's just the reason. Like, seriously, how many times does your main character need to change clothes? And one day she changed it 3 times. How do we know? We watched the entire process. And then she makes out with her lover's dad. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
That happens. Yep. Yep. Not a whole lot of why she has magic. Nothing about the magic in this. This was just boobies, vagina, and intercourse. That's and one person died. That happened too. So that's a blast, and I don't think I'll be picking up any more of that. My wife's starting to ask questions why I have pornography in the house, so don't want to get caught on that. So no.
That all your books for the lightning round?
That's it.
Okay.
Light week.
Grab it. Yeah, it was a pretty light week for sure. I did get Justice League 26, but I unfortunately have not been reading that. I do love your reference to the honeycomb hideout. Now, I'm assuming you must be talking about the old commercials with the honeycomb cereal, because I was just like, hey, honeycomb hideout. Yeah.
Clubhouse. Yeah, they got the secret clubhouse in the multiverse where they can all meet.
I picked up, this was the last week. This is the 25th Marvel's anniversary, the Immortal Hulk number 19. Picked up that cover. One book I did not get to read this week. Another one, Yosagi Yojimbo number 1 by IDW. Didn't read that one. Black Badge number 11. So one more issue left in this series. Like I said, anything Scout related and that, I dig it. This is like espionage, spy stuff within the Scout function. The Scout corporation essentially. And what's this? Captain America number 11. I picked up that cover. This is the Yoon Lee cover. You can definitely tell it's Asian kind of inspired cover. I don't like it very much, but it's better than I thought than cover A. The big book, it's not a book that came out this week, but I did show this on Instagram, and I'll show it here too. I picked up Lois Lane number 106, and that's the I'm Curious Black, where Lois Lane turns into a black woman for the day. Stuff that I don't think that would fly in today's comic book world. So, super happy to have that. I was out of town. I drove by another comic shop that they used to go to all the time, and I had been there forever. I was digging through his Lois Lane books. I talked to him about it. Hey, yeah, I'm really into Lois Lane. Hey, I got this book. I'm like, dude, sweet. Let's do it. Let's get it. So those are all my books for the week as well. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. So last month the winner was Matt Sloan, I think, was the winner last week. He picked the Venom cover, so we're gonna have the winner for the books for June. You will get the choice of 2 different books. I'm gonna post this on there too. So we have the Vampirella cover that's coming out next couple weeks. That'll be one choice, or Black Cat #1, the Mayhew variant cover. That'll be the other choice. So the winner for June will get a choice between the 2 books. I'll end up posting this picture online as well. And how do you get entered into those books, to get those books? That's through our Patreon. So if you go to our Patreon, we have different tiers. We have a $1 tier, $2 tier, $3 tier. As you go up, you get multiple entries into the contest. $1 gets you 1 entry, 2 for 2, 3 for 3, and that's all you got to do. And you need to end up getting a book that's, $25 book for $1. $1 a month, less than a candy bar you're spending out. Maybe you need to save that so you don't get diabetes. It gets that buck. So to go check out Patreon, check out our Facebook page, our podcast as well, which I am getting way behind on uploading the audio. I need to upload it like the next day after we do this here, after it airs on YouTube, to get it uploaded, because I'm kind of behind on that. But definitely check out our podcast, check out our website, Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. And hopefully pretty soon, I'm hoping that we're going to get more of Paul and Drew and Mike back in here. But it's been pretty fun with this. Joe and I just chit-chatting, a little more time to actually kind of flesh out the books a little bit more, which is cool. So with that, I'll hand it over to Joe if you have anything while we're wrapping this up.
Hey guys, thanks for coming by and watching us as always. Appreciate having you in the chat. Hopefully we're in the chat tonight too, since we're premiering this. I'll be sure I should be in here. We'll just put it down. We'll pretend that it's already in the future. I'm already here. It's magical. Definitely check us out on all of our social media sites. Also, our individual channels. We all have individual channels as well. You can kind of get a preview of my haul videos of what I got. So if there's something that you want me to talk about more specifically, you can definitely let us know. Comment down below if you like the information. Don't forget the thumbs up or the subscribe buttons. With our time schedule being a little different, definitely want to hit that subscribe button so you can get notified when we're here, like, period. Also, me and Spectacular Spider Grandpa are going to have an online auction here soon. Not a live one, but one where you can go on and securely bid on various comic books. We got a lot of selection in there, over 150 different lots in there, both bundles and singles, a little bit of everything. So that should be interesting. Other than that, let's get some books. Also, if you have any recommendation for books that you think that we should buy and review, I'm happy to do that. Comment in the video down below so I can take a look at it. And if I can find the book, I'm happy to read it and blast or stash it right here on YouTube.
Yeah, that'd be a fun thing to do too. Like somebody said, "Hey, you should pick up this trade and have us read it, and we'll talk about it." That'd be a pretty fun thing.
I don't really pick up a whole lot of trades, but issues themselves, I'm happy to do that. Yeah, because my comic book shop gives me a deal anyway. Because all I gotta do is mention his name, and I usually get a discount. So Zeno's Books in Chesapeake, Virginia. Boom. Let me know down below. I'm happy to read the book. Definitely.
Cool. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and wrap this up so I can get this uploaded before I head to work. So whether you blast it, whether you shash it, happy reading, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Bye.